Good evening, Namaste. I welcome you all to this last webinar of the year, VICHAR webinar. VICHAR webinar is an initiative of Federation of Indian Association Victoria. My name is Surya Soni. I'm former president of FIAV and current trustee of FIAV and AICCT. During my last 15, 18 years of community service, what I realized that there was a gap for people to people connect, and this forum, this webinar series, weekly webinar series, is a brainchild to address that problem of people to people connect. I firmly believe that there's a huge pool of talent in the diaspora in Victoria itself, and the wider diaspora in Australia has achieved great success in various different ways. They've taken lots of pain, lots of hard work has gone behind, and everybody is looking for similar platform where they can share their hard work, the pain points, what are the thresholds to overcome those fears to start exploring new ideas. So over the last year, we have learned diverse topics. We have speakers as young as 12 years old to very senior members of the community, Medal of Order of Australia awarded people, and lots of individual successful people. I firmly believe every individual, no matter whether they're successful or not, has got a very unique talent to share, unique attribute, which is very with the personal attribute of that person itself. They can share. Anybody and everybody can share something to the wider community. Hence, I inspire and request the diaspora to come forward to become a speaker on this forum. You are not judged, you are encouraged to speak your own domain, your own expertise, and share the knowledge. With that brief introduction on this initiative, I welcome our speaker today, Siddhant Iruvanti. Welcome, Siddhant, to this forum. Thank you for accommodating on very short period of time. I also welcome proud parents Sudarshan Bhai and Shubhaji on this forum as well. Congratulations to you and congratulations to Siddhant for a big achievement. Siddhant, just to summarize, those who are watching are on YouTube, please don't leave without like and subscribe to the channel so that we can spread this knowledge and word to the wider audience. So for brief introduction I'll give, then I'll request Mom Shubhaji to give more elaborated parental introduction to their son, what was their journey, and how they assured that Siddhant achieved what he has achieved today. So Siddhant has achieved, he call himself as Sid as well. So achieved ATAR score of 99.55 in VC exam. He's from Highvale Secondary School. And there's one more reason why I'm very happy and proud to bring him on the forum is that my daughter is joining, Aditi is joining Highvale next year as well. And so she's very excited to be part of this webinar series tonight as well. So she's just laughing behind me, but she's very happy and congratulating you as well, Sid, from the school. So Sid has become a school ducks. The terminology I heard for the first time because I was not in that zone that somebody who tops the school is called school ducks, I believe. And he's going to speak and share his wisdom and hard work and with support from parents that what are the key elements he ensured towards his success and what are the things students can avoid and do the right thing to achieve similar or better score next year. So without further delay, I welcome you once again, Siddhant and parents. And I would request Shubhaji to take over this webinar and introduce and tell us some story behind Siddhant's journey. Over to you, Shubhaji. Welcome.
Thank you, Siraji. That is very sweet. Thank you very much. I think I'll just start with saying thank you all for joining. I know it's Christmas Eve, there are parties that you could be there, but you've chosen to join here. So I'm genuinely thankful. I'll also start by saying I feel very humbled. Not used to this at all, Siraji. So if I do some faux pas in talking or saying something, please course correct me so that I don't digress. So you'll be hearing from Sid today. So I'm very extremely proud as parents. Extremely grateful as well. So you'll be hearing from someone, as Suryaji said, who is the school ducks or valedictorian or school topper, very simply put in Indian terminology, who scored 99.55 ATAR. It seems unreal when I say that number because as parents, we were pretty stoked and surprised at the same time because in Australia, the ATAR of 99.55, the interpretation of it is key to understand what it means. It's a percentile, which means he is in the 0.45% of the 12th standard students nationally. So I think that kind of shows us the scale why it is. It took us a while to sort of get used to understanding and talking in percentile than our traditional way of percentage, which is what is we are used to back in India. So uh, really happy. And Sid will go into the details, but I just wanted to say a couple of top points there, which made us feel very glad that he took us through this journey. So when Sid he scored the rank 1 in 3 key subjects, which is biology, chemistry, and specialist mathematics in his school. And we came to know of that during his graduation ceremony. We were pleasantly surprised. We expected in chemistry because we knew that was his favorite subject. We were really, really surprised when he was called for biology and specialist mathematics as well. And then to the journey of the ATAR, yes, very happy. But what is key as parents for myself and Sudarshan is the fact that the journey throughout this year, Sid had not given us any concern or any cause to be wondering about how is he going to go? Is he going to be okay? Is he planning well? Is he studying well? I don't think there was any stress that was transferred to us. And I think that is a very big gift that Sid gave us this year, more than anything, right? Because academics score number is definitely great for all our parents. We definitely want that. I no way that I would accept any diminishing importance over that, but the way you achieve it also adds to the whole the personality of the child, isn't it? So for me and for Sudarshan, to speak on behalf of him, I feel very proud that this year I found Sid grow as a person, well grounded, a planner, a calm individual. I was comparing him to a swan or a duck. When it swims, it is paddling madly beneath the water. Yeah. But outwardly, when we see from a lake shore, we see, oh, how calm the duck is, how beautiful it is, it is swimming, but it is paddling madly beneath the water. So that's how the analogy that I would use for Sid would be that. As much as I'm stoked and happy for his score, I am so proud. We are so proud to see him grow as a human being. He has been generous with his time, helping his mates, helping the respect that he showed his teachers. Every project, that he took this year, he had taken it to completion. And when I met the teachers during the school ceremonies, the one line that kept repeated was, Shubha, Sudarshan, you have a fine young gentleman. I think that topped the charts for us. So you can clearly see that it was a culmination of the effort, the clear planning, the ability to consistently focus and have a strategy. Yeah. I'll probably just take one more minute, Suryaji, and then hand it over to Sid. As parents, as immigrant parents, it was very hard for me and Sudarshan to understand the algorithm behind the ATAR calculation. How do they arrive at the score? What are all the ingredients that go into that score? Do I just focus on the exam? What happens in the school curriculum? There were so many questions. The number of times Sid had sat me down and explained the whole ATAR process is unbelievable patience. The kind of questions I asked him, being I'm not a tiger mom by any stretch, but I can be nitpicky and curious, asking the question until I'm clear. And the patience with which he explained the whole ATAR process gave me the confidence to travel with him and understand when he comes home from an exam and explain what's the impact of his performance and how that would affect the score. I was able to be a key contributor to the discussion rather than just listen in and handle him, with him taking all the weight. So I think I'm really thankful to you for that, Sid. You've made me and Bapa extremely proud, not just with the score, but looking at the way you're growing. I am very happy you have accepted the offer from University of Melbourne. I'm so happy. You had a strategy, you had a goal, and you went for it. We wish you all the very best. And without further delay, I'm going to hand it over to Sid Suryaji.
With your all permission, I'll request Sudarshan Bhai as well to say a few words.
Yeah, 100%.
Sudarshan Bhai, a few words.
Sure, sure. Let me not steal the thunder of Sid here, and I'm sure all who have joined in their precious vacation time is to hear from Sid rather than we waffling here. So, only one thing, I totally echo what Shubha said. If I have to add one more point, which is a bit close to my heart, was Sid was also smashing in soccer. He was playing Division 1 NPL, and before 1 year of 12th, he one fine day came and said, I stop, take a break. Soccer is life, but I want to study. And he want to score, right? So again, that was his choice. Not easy to give up. And he was almost running towards nationals in soccer, right? So he was almost there. The coaches were mentoring him. And then he just said, okay, I stop here and I'm going to study. So for me, the score which Sid got and the uni he got of his liking with his course was very important, especially as an acknowledgement for something which he gave up that is also close to his heart. So thanks, Sid. And as I said, uh, we are humble and same time it's your moment. So enjoy it.
Thank you, Sudarshan Bhai.
And the best thing is one Molga Pudi Dosa in Saruna Bhavan is all it took for us to say thank you to him. He said he doesn't want anything else. So that's the best.
So humble,
uh,
so humble, yeah.
yeah, so it's more. I think if you record this, I will take some royalty from Saruna Bhavan for this marketing. Over to you, Sid.
Over to you, said without further delay. Over to you. Thank you.
Hey, hi everyone. So you guys have heard from my parents. I'm Sid. I graduated this year, and to say the least, it's been a long journey. I think it's been a very rewarding journey, but there are some things that I really want to cover to help the upcoming year of students who are going to be going into year 12, as well as maybe some of the younger kids, so the year 10s or the year 9s who are going to be listening in. So first of all, again, I want to say thank you to my parents, my friends, and my teachers who have been supporting me in this journey. And yeah, I think this year it's before I want to talk about strategies or study methods, I think it's really important to start with that gratitude. So yeah, I want to first let me share my screen as well because I've prepared something that will help me guide this presentation. So I want to say this, I think no journey is really
Can you,
walked alone.
sorry to interrupt. Can you go
Yeah.
into slide mode, please?
Oh, yes, slide mode, yes. So, yeah. So I want to say that no journey is actually walked alone. So for all the students who are going to be going into year 12, I think it's important to have that shoulder that you can lean on and have some people around you that you can share information with and kind of brainstorm ideas with. I think that's something that's really important, especially in a year that can be really stressful and cause a lot of emotional strain. So my first piece of advice going into this sort of seminar would be that find someone, whether it be friends or family, that you can really talk to and really share your personal feelings and thoughts with. And I think together you guys can be empowered to succeed in a year like year 12. So remember that behind every success story, there are people like my parents and my friends who are also there to support me. And one thing that's really important for me, I think, as not just a student or a graduate, but as a person itself, is confidence. I think as a kid, I was not always the most confident. I was a little bit shy. I was a little bit maybe scared of just the whole prospect of academics itself, whether it be maths or chemistry or just anything that's related to schools and exams. So when it came to year 12, I had to kind of dig deep and find some confidence. I think that's something that's super important for any student or any individual, finding confidence. So, but was I always this confident? I would say no. And to these students who are going to be coming into year 12, how did I actually become confident? What is the secret behind that sort of success or that sort of pure understanding that I have the ability to succeed? I think the reason behind that or the secret would be hard work. Something that when paired with consistency can really transform into confidence. So I want to talk about planning before I go into it. I have a specific slide for planning itself, but in year 12, planning is absolutely crucial. And when you plan out your week by maybe you can plan things out the week ahead. So let's say I'm sitting down at my desk Sunday night, I'm looking, okay, I have a week ahead. I have an assessment at school on Thursday, but I need to study for another upcoming assessment the week after. How do I balance everything? Planning is key. So by setting this out in front of me and really deciding what I'm going to be doing every day of that week and a few dot points, something that's really easy. It doesn't have to be super complicated, but a few dot points under each day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, really helps set that structure in place. And when I execute my plan, that gives me the confidence. So, with this confidence, any student has the ability to succeed. Something that I always used to say to mum was that I used to always complain, I'm not a math natural. And it used to really frustrate me that I'm not a natural academic or I feel like I don't have that pure intelligence and that problem solving capacity that comes instantly. So that's something that I really complained about in the beginning. And the way that I navigated around this was through planning. So I don't know how much I can really emphasize the importance of planning in a year like year 12, but for me, the key behind my confidence and my overall success would be planning. And last year, I had heaps of students, my friends, or the kids who were maybe in year 11, having a lot of self-doubt. One thing that I'm going to say is self-doubt is perfectly normal. I think if you ask Suryaji or dad or mum, everyone has doubt at some point of the year, whether it be in their personal life or work. Doubt is just everywhere. And I think what students should do, right, speaking from my perspective, is really embrace that doubt. And what I mean by that is understand that doubt comes from uncertainty and find a way to make the uncertainty smaller. Increase your own chances of success by by doing like directed things. Like I said, for me, that was planning, but for you, that might be playing sport or meditation. So my second point would be find something that allows you to take a step back and look at the bigger picture and really understand that doubt is normal, but can also be overcome. For me, my social life is really important. I am a social person, so I would always annoy mum and ask her to go out with my friends, even when exams were close by. And, as an Indian parent or an immigrant parent, it's not always easy to say yes to those things because we are so used to that near an exam, you have to be really locked in and fully focused. But for me, I think the social life is a really important factor. So again, I'm going to tie all of this back to confidence. When you are able to balance your social life, you're able to plan and you're able to structure your week, you feel confident. So my tip to to the upcoming year 12s or the upcoming VCE students is don't fully give up something that you love. Always find a way to balance it, but also make sure that your priorities are set straight. Now, let me talk about an experience that I had at the start of the year, at very start of the year, and I think lots of students would really resonate with this. So, One thing that you guys need to know is that I got rank one in chemistry. It was my favorite subject in year 12, and I placed in maybe the top 0.8% in the state in chemistry. But at the start of the year at Highvale, we have something called SACS, which is an internal assessment and contributes directly to the ATAR. I didn't do that well. I was maybe the 15th or the 20th highest score, something that I was really disappointed in. And that might sound to you guys as not a big deal, but think about it. 20th in a class or a cohort of 40 is actually in the middle, smack bang average. And I didn't want to be average. That was not my personal goal for year 12. So this is what I would classify in year 12 as an early failure. So, what do you do as a student when you get hit with an early failure or a roadblock during that process of year 12? It's a long, strenuous year, and you hit a roadblock in the very beginning. Now, I had all of this self-doubt. Can I do this? Will I even be able to do this? Do I have to prioritize another subject? I was having all this anxiety and nervousness, but how can someone overcome this? Again, I think the answer to that is taking a step back. I think whenever you feel that sort of pressure on you or that incapability to deal with situations when you're anxious, it's really important to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. I looked at the percentages. Now, how much does this one SAC or one assessment actually count towards my final score? And what I did was I looked at the study design, which is something that the exam corporation called the VICHAR provides us with. It has everything broken down into the percentage allocations. The final exam's worth 50%. The internal assessments in school are worth 50%. And my school does 5 assessments per year. So that would mean that every single internal assessment is worth 10%. So, wow, suddenly this one assessment task is worth a mere 10% of my overall score. Now, that gives me the confidence to understand that you can bounce back. So, again, what I'm going to say to these upcoming year 12s is that do not get bogged down by small defeats, learn from them, prioritize, understand the percentage contributions, and take a deep breath. It will all work out in the end. And this also goes for parents as well. When you see your kid get a maybe slightly mediocre score early on, but you know that they're a high achieving student, don't feel scared. Don't think that it's all over. I know I had to explain to my parents how the system worked, but just understand that one assessment will not define the overall ATAR. It's a culmination of so many different assessments. Maybe at the start of the year, I think I had maybe 50 internal assessments this year plus 6 external exams. So when you think about that, one internal assessment does not really define your child's entire year. So for parents, the most important thing is understand what the process looks like, understand the requirements for every subject. What does your child need to do to succeed? Of course, consistent lack of the marks that you guys desire is not a good sign. I'm not saying that you guys should always be okay with maybe mediocre marks or results, but understand how much it really matters. The scale of things is really important is what I'm trying to say. Some things matter more than others. For example, the final exam, one singular assessment for chemistry is worth 50% of my entire study score, my entire final score. But one internal assessment, on the other hand, is probably worth 8 to 10%. So, as a parent, it's important to do, of course, your own research into the ATAR and the curriculum, but also trust your kid when they say, it's not over, I can bounce back. I think that's the most important thing. So, yeah, this is what I think no one really sees behind the ATAR, those real challenges that come with the pressure and the need to bounce back when something doesn't go your way. I want everyone, all the VC parents and students to understand that at one point there will be a roadblock, there will be a score that you're not quite happy with. It's not the end of the world. There's always something that can be done to bounce back. So, the biggest and most important thing would be the consistency of it. So, yeah, I think stay consistent and it will all work out in the end. Now, I said that I had a full slide dedicated for planning. That's what this is. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the process that the ATARs actually like. How do you get the ATAR? What does this journey look like? I said earlier that strategies and planning are the most important aspect of year 12. What does this look like for a kid going into year 11, starting their VCE journey? The first thing that you guys need to do as a family is actually have a rough idea of what course and what university that you guys want to aspire towards. What this gives you is a target ATAR, some sort of target selection rank that you need to achieve to get a spot in this specific university. So, as a parent, I would suggest maybe research into an area that your child is really interested in and try and narrow down a few of the main courses that your child could take up in university. And when you do that, you give yourself a target. Now, one thing that I think is really important throughout year 12 is having goals. Setting goals, your ATAR is what I call the largest goal, the goal at the very end. In between, you have very small little goals, and these are little achievable tasks that make sure your confidence is maintained. If a student is looking purely at that final ATAR, that final percentage from the very beginning of the year, what that does is it creates tunnel vision. You're not able to focus on these internal assessments that also matter. You're not able to balance properly, you're not able to structure your weeks properly. So, my advice would be to have that final target ATAR by looking at the university course selection, but also have small, achievable goals throughout the year that make everything seem more structured and achievable. You do not want to start climbing a mountain from the very beginning. You want to be calm and relaxed and treat it like a process. So, I think one big takeaway from this would be understand that it's a journey and it is a marathon and not a sprint, which is something that everyone said to me this year. Mum and my teachers always used to think that I'm very intense going into this year. I'm too intense and too focused on specific tasks. And maybe halfway through the year, I realized that what I need is to understand that if I keep going at this immense speed, I'm gonna burn out. I'm not gonna have enough in the tank to keep pushing through the entire year. So, as parents, understand that it's a journey, understand that there will be roadblocks along the way. And the first step for your strategy and planning would be to understand approximately what university or course decision you need to take. Now, let me give you an example of this. A student who is aspiring for engineering at Monash would need to aim for an 85 ATAR, whereas a student who's aiming for medicine in Monash needs to aim for a 99.5 ATAR. Now that those two numbers are two completely different things. The difference between 85 and 95 itself is huge when you break it down into what's actually required, but the difference between 85 and 99 is almost impossible to understand when you look at the scale of everything. So, what this means is when you decide early that you want to commit to something like a medicine, I'm not saying that it's impossible, it's never impossible. What I'm saying is you need to know what you're aiming for so that you can allocate resources and allocate time effectively. So, for someone who is going for a medicine course, they would need to start preparing for the UCAT, which is an external assessment. They would need to start, maybe, who knows, maybe even searching for tutors for subjects that they might be weak in. Because at the end of the day, when we're looking for a really, really high score, there is a huge difference between someone who is aiming for a 99 and an 85. So understand what course you need, understand its requirements, understand the compromises that might have to be made. For example, my soccer, my football being taken away as a result, not taken away, but me giving up my football as a result of my ATAR. So there will be decisions that need to be made, and you can only make those decisions when you're aware of what you're aiming for. So, step number one, find that university course that looks really good, that you're really interested in, and find that target ATAR. What do you want to go for? Because everyone likes having that goal, something that they can work towards consistently. So that's step number one. So once you have that university course decided and you have that target ATAR in mind, let's say you're now going into year 12. So this is me now. I'm Sid going into year 12 in maybe in February, and my first SACs for all my subjects are coming up. SACs are your internal assessments. So I have SACs coming up for chemistry, biology, specialist maths, French, English. I have five SACs coming up in the first 3 weeks of going into year 12. And I know in my mind that all of these count towards the final ATAR. Now, the most important thing that lots of people need to understand is that SACs do matter. Lots of students and lots of schools seem to think that the exam will carry the entire study score. This is not the case. We see in all of the study designs for all of the subjects that the allocation is 50% internal assessments and 50% for the external exam. What does this tell us? This tells us that it is not 100% exam. So do not fall into the trap of thinking that your internal assessments do not matter. They most definitely do. So going into year 12, start strong, start consistently. Don't start weak and mess up a few assessments and then gain momentum afterwards because the mistake has already been done at that point. It's something that's very avoidable, and this is why I highly recommend every student, whether you're aiming for a 99 or an 85, to always start strong. Because what does that give you? What does that give you? Starting strong gives you confidence, and that confidence will really carry throughout year 12. So, my third point after finding out your university and your target ATAR would be to understand that SACs do matter. These internal assessments contribute heavily towards your ATAR. Now, my fourth point. I mentioned planning earlier, I mentioned weekly planning, but what does that look like? I want to give you guys an actual structure that I might have followed and help you guys understand what I mean. Because everyone loves to say, okay, let's plan. But what is planning actually? That's actually a question I had for mom and dad when they kept telling me, you need to plan. It's super important. I was like, I know it's so important, but how do I do it? Right? That's the question that I'm gonna answer for you guys. So let's say you have week 2. You've gone in, you've done your first week of year 12, and you're going into the second week and you're looking to plan it out. How would you do it? Now, you need to have a couple things in mind. What are the assessments that are coming up? What am I struggling in? And am I behind in any subjects? Now, the assessments that are coming up, those subjects automatically become your priority. So, those are the ones you're going to allocate a large amount of hours to throughout the week. But then you also have other subjects who are not currently having assessments, but maybe in a couple weeks' time. Do you fully neglect those? Do you solely focus on the subject that has the assessment coming up? You do not. You always do all of your subjects. You always allocate time towards every single one of your subjects because what that ensures is that you're always ahead of your class. That's something that really helped me. So in week 2 of year 12 for me, I had a specialist SAC, specialist maths, but then in week 3, I had a biology SAC. So what I did was I continued to study for biology, maybe not as much as for maths, but a little bit, maybe 1 hour every 2 days for biology. And what it does is it compounds. It compounds over time, and by the time you get to the assessment, you have more preparation than any of your other friends or peers who might have completely neglected one of the subjects to focus on the other. I said earlier about tunnel vision, and tunnel vision is a trap that so many students fall into. They solely focus on the upcoming assessment. Remember, it's so much bigger than that. An upcoming assessment that's worth 10% is not as big of a deal when you in comparison to understanding the content overall. So focus, yes, of course, focus on that upcoming assessment, but make sure you give attention to all of your other subjects in the same time. I know it sounds overwhelming. How am I going to do maths, chemistry, and English in the same day? But if you put your mind to it and you structure your hours, let's say you come home from school at 4 p.m. and you want to start studying at 5. You have from 5 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. to finish studying. And your upcoming assessment is a specialist maths assessment. I would say, okay, let's do 2 hours of specialist math, 1 hour of English, and 1 hour of chemistry. That way, you've touched every subject. You feel like you're getting some momentum in those subjects that don't have an assessment yet. but you're also really going hard at that subject that has that immediate assessment coming up. That's what I mean by weekly planning. Again, disclaimer, do not get tunnel vision. It will add up over the course of 6 months. Imagine 6 months of neglecting a subject. How much would that really impact you? 6 months of being behind in content would basically destroy your progress for the whole year. So for parents and for the students here, just make sure that your kid or yourself is not going off track in the sense that you're not solely focusing on a singular subject, but you're managing and spreading out your time to all of the different subjects. For example, I used to tell Mum, I have an English assessment coming up, but 3 days after that, I have a chemistry assessment coming up. How it doesn't make sense. How can I study for two really important assessments within the same week? The answer to this is you actually have to start studying 2 weeks before asking that question. You need to have already done most of that work so that when it comes to the week that you have all of those assessments, you're actually laid back. Now, Dad used to always say this like, in 3 days from now, I have a sack, and Dad's like, "Why are you not studying anymore? What's going on? You're watching a movie? Like, this is not the Indian way, guys. You have to be studying, right?" But I'm saying I already did it. 3 weeks ago, I've already done everything that I need to do for this assessment. And 2 or 3 days before this assessment, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna focus on the mentals. Why is that so important? That allows you to stay calm and stay composed and confident going into that assessment. So, planning gives you that motivation and that confidence to always stay ahead of all of your tasks and subjects. So, I hope that really makes sense to parents. Does anyone have a question for me on this planning thing? Because I think that's one of the most important skills going into year 12 for a high achieving student. Yeah, Ma. What's your question?
Firstly, didn't know you did this level of detail planning. Well, I'm I'm thrilled to understand that. I'm so glad that you did that. I mean, I am a project manager by profession, so I'm really stoked that you've got the planning skill to go. No, I just put my hand to say. Um, that was a lot of information. Maybe we just pause to see if anyone has any questions. Do you have any more slides on here, Sid, or
I
can
have
we go for questions? What is it? Okay, you've got one more slide,
I've
which
got
is
one
your
more slide to go,
perspective.
but I think,
I think this is a good segue for any questions if anyone
yep.
might have. Otherwise, I'm really keen to understand your takeaways and learning after that. So maybe Suryaji, can we please open it for any questions if that's okay? What do you think?
Yep, so I'll request anyone from the audience to either unmute yourself or raise your hand and ask any questions or comment. Before anyone can ask question, I can just make one comment. I always come to these webinars with a very open mind and looking at the planning and strategies Siddhant is presenting us. It's always applicable to your day-to-day life as well, in professional life as well, and that's the planning 3 weeks before. That the comment you made just last is a common thing. We should not dig the well when we are thirsty. We should plan ahead, and that's what you're giving the message to us. Very, very impressive. Thank you, Rajneesh ji.
I just have a comment on the talk which she's doing right now, and I would just say that was such a good. Such, I mean, it reminded me of my own chartered accounting studies in Mumbai when I was doing it, and I had like 3 months to prepare for two of the final papers, final groups, which had 8 different papers, and you only had 3 months because you don't get that much of a leave. I was thinking like, what? It just took me back to what, 1998. So, oh, that was a long time ago. But the way you planned, and in fact, the way you went through the whole thing, it feels like that was a success stock in itself. Like there was so much learning for us from you that can be applied in so many things in life. The way you kind of prepared and did things.
Yeah, I
And
think
my daughter is going to be 11 this year, so I actually didn't tell her about this. So, but thankfully, this is being recorded, so that can be, she would probably watch it And that would be a great lesson for her to kind of look at it
Yes, of course.
and follow
And if
some of
she
the.
has, yeah, if she has any questions at all, I think we're free to really help out and yeah, really support anyone who needs help. And yeah, because we didn't actually get that when I was doing year 12, so I'm really ready to give back and help. So
Oh,
anytime.
thank you so much. No, definitely that would be great.
Yeah.
And so yeah, she will watch it for you.
Yeah.
She will
And
definitely watch
that's
this.
another observation that people get success, but you're sharing your wisdom that tells about you as a person, and that's what really matters in long-term life. That no matter how good we successful as an individual, but if we're not giving back to the community, all that thing is half success, I would say. We have to share it back to the wider community so that you relieve some pain from the parents or individuals who are going through the same thing. I've got two quick questions, Mahendra uncle, if you allow me to ask. First is when you said that once you have clarity of thought which university and course you're doing, to avoid the tunnel vision and all of the things you said, uh, how much is a local school level competition distracts you, rather than focusing a bigger picture that where you want to achieve or where you want to go, versus you're competing with your friends or some friends demotivating you, one way or other. There must be, how real the competition is here in Australia. I have no visibility compared to back in India. We have seen so many things around it, but can you share what's there in Australian schools?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm gonna say that this varies from school to school. This year, Highville's actually really outperformed academically, so I think we are a really competitive school in that regard. I'm going to really dig deep into friendship circles and how that really impacts your ATAR and your performance and all of that. So, my cohort was Highville's highest ever performing cohort. We had 7 to 10 scores above 99, and we had, I think, a large percentage, I think maybe 26% of students got above 90. So it's a really, really great score. And this I think is a testament to some healthy competition within the school itself. So I think when we say, oh, is this competition, it's not good for the mental health, or it might really bring a student's morale down. Some healthy competition is actually really, really good. As someone who really loves sport, competition is what really gives me that drive and that internal motivation. So, being in a group of friends who really push you and really drag you up along with them, but also know when to give that helping hand and have that emotional intelligence to take a step back and make sure that you're okay is also, I think, key to success in year 12 or maybe just anything in general. So, having friends that help you and really bring you up is really good. But generally, to answer your question, Uncle, within schools, is the competition really high and really hectic? I think yes. That would be the best way to answer your question. And it's it's pretty bad in the sense that you can get really caught up in it. But if you're able to also detach from it once in a while, take breaks throughout the course of the year, you don't get really engulfed in all of that pressure. So it depends on the personality of the student. Are they able to embrace such high pressure environments, or do they really get all up in their head and feel anxious about it? But overall, the competition is really high for year 12. Everyone wants to succeed, and everyone wants to take that really strong foot forward into their tertiary education and set themselves up for success in the future as well.
Thank you so much, Mahendra uncle.
Hadi bhai, said just one thing, like regarding your planning part,
Yeah.
back, yeah. So that planning, like 2, 3 weeks ahead, or maybe something like that, So do you take these plannings for your own individual, or do your friends also share these planning? First thing, right? And another is whether is something is that flexible, like for example if something happened and planning doesn't mess up with somehow, so how you cope with that one? That's
Yeah. So I'm gonna answer your second question first because it's
okay.
just fresh. It's just fresh in my mind. So
Yeah, that's all right.
yeah, so the flexibility of planning, my plans were never always set in stone. I'm not like, I wouldn't position myself as someone who always 100% executed the plans to perfection. I think the purpose of planning is to just give yourself a rough idea and structure. Of course, things might not always go to plan. A birthday party might come up, an 18th party of your best friend might come up on the night that you want to do a really important practice exam. No problem at all. We'll shift things around, move it to the next day, and see how it all fits together. Planning gives you that overall structure and that foundation that you can then build off whenever you want. Of course, it's best to always stay somewhat on track so that you're not fully changing your entire plan, but the most important thing is to always have some space and that flexibility to change and alter certain small parts whenever needed. It's not 100% all the time. I wasn't that perfect, you know. I was always something might have come up and yeah, I always changed my plan or altered it to fix it. And your first question was whether I share this plan with my friends or do they also do their own planning. I think every student is different in that regard. Some students are really chill if they know that they don't need the highest ATAR, or if they're content with something that isn't above 95 or 98. I think it comes down to your friendship circle and your friendship group. I know that one of my closest friends and we really shared our plans and really spoke a lot about how our weeks are going to look. But I also had one of my other closest friends in my friend group who did no planning at all and just studied whenever he felt like it, and he got 99.2 as well. So it it just depends on at what point of the year do you put in that effort and when do you want to put in that planning. This friend that I said who got that 99.2, he worked super hard. What he didn't do was that weekly structured planning that I did. So there are different ways to approach planning, and I think the friendship group can really change that. It just depends on whether your friends are comfortable with sharing it or whether sometimes people like to get really secretive when it's a competition. And yeah, I think does that answer your question, Uncle?
Wonderful. Yeah, yeah, I think so. That's
Yeah.
really a superb. That's how we can say the score is there, because many different students, many different aims, their own aims, and like that. So
Yeah.
that's yeah, wonderful.
And
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
No problem.
and Mahendra uncle is professor of economics, so you're
No,
getting
sorry.
very talented people asking questions, and you're addressing them. So you should feel proud of yourself.
Thank you,
Uh,
sir.
so your recommendation is to keep your friend circle within the same target at our score, or it doesn't matter?
I think it doesn't matter at all. I think sometimes friends are just, friends, they're there for that emotional support, which is also really important. And sometimes your goals shouldn't mix. So I always like to detach friendship from goals. I think having friends who want to achieve all sorts of different things also is a breath of fresh air in year 12. If I only had friends who wanted 99.8 and 99.9, I think in a way that would be a little bit boring and you wouldn't be able to have fun in your last year of high school. So I had friends get 55, I had friends get 99, I had friends get 80. So it's all just mixed up and I think friendship should just be detached from the score. But of course in certain classes and certain environments or practice exams, it's of course important to associate yourself with high achievers as well. But I don't think it's that big of a deal where you should detach yourself from someone just because they're not as academically proficient.
Yep, I'm conscious of time. Sunil, you can ask question, and Shubha, you can make comment as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, thanks, Suryaji. First of all, congratulations, Sid, and thank you so much for sharing your journey. And that is like very valuable for kids who are going to be in year 12 or like similar kind of exposure. My question about is like you mentioned that 50% internal things matter and 50% is external. Obviously, 50% internal, when you go through your sex assessments and everything, you get to know where do you stand, right? But how about external? How do you judge yourself? Where are you standing when external things comes into picture? If you can shed some light on that, probably that will be great for me. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yep. So the external exams every year run around in that October, end of October to mid-November period. So
Yeah.
maybe October 30th to November 16th or 19th.
Mhm.
And to prepare for this exam, preparations start very early, maybe around oh, June, July, maybe earliest.
Yeah.
And the website that VICAR, which is the Victorian Curriculum Authority, they
Mhm.
have websites and study designs for every single subject. And
Yeah.
under that, there's heaps of practice exams that are for
Um,
the correct study design. So
so,
what I did was do all of them and really repeat them if I need to.
yeah.
And you can also see something that the authority publishes every year called a grade distribution. So it tells you what grade do you need to get an A plus.
Yep.
But to really answer your question, I think the school really does that for you. You have teachers who have been part of this system for maybe 20 to 30 years, and they really understand what a high achieving student needs to get those really high study scores.
Mm.
But or maybe tuition services. All of these places know exactly what's needed. But of course, it's really important to also do your own personal research and understand the
Correct.
curriculum itself.
Yeah.
For example, I knew that in chemistry to get a perfect score, I didn't get a perfect score. I got 4 marks from perfect score.
Mm.
I knew that to get a perfect score, I needed 110 out of 120 on the final exam,
Yeah.
just from historic results of other students getting the perfect score. And
Mm.
that's what I was aiming for when I did my practice papers. So I would say set an exam goal for every subject when you're doing your practice papers and try
Mm.
to consistently hit those marks every time when you do a practice paper. And
Yeah.
that way you know that you're set going into the external exam. I think with the resources and tuition services and just the modern, like everything that we have right now, it should be pretty simple to understand what you need. And I mean, of course, Uncle, if you have any other questions or your daughter or son does the same subjects as I do, I can also help with that. I know what's needed, right? So
No, thank you so
it's
much, Sid. Thank
no
you so
problem.
much for
No
sharing.
problem at all.
Yeah. Thank you.
Shubha, you want to make comment? Or we
No, no, Sariji. I just couple of things I wanted to, but I think the questions were all great, and I'm so thankful for senior people to just so humbly asking these questions. It's very nice. It's so humbling experience, Suryaji. Thank you.
thank you. So Sid, please continue. Thank you.
Yep. So I'm coming into the final part of my presentation, and I'm going to talk about just a little bit of philosophy on year 12 because everyone loves to think of year 12 as this sort of big monster that you have to fight off at the end of your 12 years of education. But it's really important to understand that the whole year is a journey. It's not an easy journey. It's a hard, strenuous journey for a high achieving student. You need to stay on top of everything. You need to stay confident in yourself. But at the end of the day, it is very, very rewarding. If you put in that work and if you're consistent, it's very rewarding in the end. And I've heard students say, why did you want a 99 when you only needed 95? Like I said earlier, when we did the planning at the very start of year 11, what course I needed, it was a 95 requirement. Now, because it's a percentile, the difference between a 95 and a 99 is astronomical because the top end of the students are so competitive. So the actual numerical difference might not be that much, but the real scale is absolutely insane. So the question that I got asked by my friends were, why do you even need to push that much? Why do you need a 99.5 when your course is guaranteed at a 95? I think the answer to that is an intrinsic motivation. For me, quitting soccer was huge, and I kind of had that just drive that, okay, I've given this up. Now I really want to push and make sure that I smash this out of the park so that, of course, I make my family proud, but I also know that it's proof of concept for me that I can succeed if I put my mind to something. So I think don't get too pulled into the numerical requirements for your course. Of course, it's important to have a goal, but what's more important is to give your absolute best and leave nothing behind. I came out of year 12 with no regrets, whereas maybe some of my friends got a really great score, 96 or a 97, but they were still feeling like, oh, I could have done this here, I could have done this there. So my question to the people who ask me, why do you need to put in that extra push, is why not? Why not push for something more when you have the ability to do it? So I think don't constrain yourself to the numerical requirements, but really try and find something within yourself. Find that motivation that you're going to use. I think I'm going to use this motivation for the upcoming years of my life, right? It's given me that real push and drive to feel that sort of success again. So this is the kind of position that I think students who are going into year 12 want to be in. Have no regrets, have no like second thoughts on your own performance. Make sure that you're doing your absolute best throughout the whole year and take care of yourself mentally. I think immigrants in general like to think of mental health as some sort of a myth, but in this modern world, mental health is a really important thing. And not everything that has to do with mental health is extreme. It can be as simple as self-doubt, which everyone experiences every day. That is still part of anyone's mental health. So I would say really make sure that you take care of yourself throughout the course of VCE. Don't get too pulled into the competition. Understand that yes, in this country, there are pathways for everything. It's never actually over. But when I say this, I don't really want to say this because it takes away from that motivation again. Remember that you want to succeed, you want to put your best foot forward, and you want to get the best ATAR possible, not because not because of your course, but because you can do it. I think that's my main message is that anyone going into year 12 can get what I've gotten because it's purely just consistency and hard work, not natural talent. I think that's a real big emphasis that I want to make. So give that extra push, push yourself within the constraints, take care of yourself, and I think for parents, make sure that your kid is okay, even if I know I gave my parents a lot of attitude during year 12 under that academic stress. I was like, don't talk to me, pa. I don't want to talk to you right now, all of that. But I think really understand that your kid is trying their best. And for the students themselves, make sure you actually do try your best. And yeah, just I think success is honestly guaranteed if you put in that consistent work. So, again, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And I hope you guys had some real takeaways. I don't want this to just be some sort of a philosophical commentary. I want students and parents to take away something that they can employ in year 12 because I felt like I had something to give and I hope that it was, well received. So, thank you so much,
Yep.
Surya Uncle, for making this happen. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I can see you put your heart out to share all that wisdom you built over the last couple of years, and you're a great person for that matter. I've got a couple of quick questions to ask. One is, sorry, this chain of thought lost that thing, but yeah. Anyone has got other question to ask, please ask first, and then I can ask my.
Can I ask Sid's
Madam.
parents?
Yes.
Because everyone has spiritual things, very so do you sometimes believe that spiritual push also might help during that time, or
Maybe I can take that, Sudarshan, if you want.
yes,
Please go for it.
Sure.
so
Definitely, Mandraji. It's there. It's for me as a mom, spiritual connection was definitely there. Not to the extent that I would ask Sid to focus on it, but I think he genuinely respected my spiritual inclination and went on with it. For example, I was very keen that temple visit is a must. But those are things that we didn't do just for year 12. Those are just things that used to happen in the family
Yeah, I
as a
think,
regular thing.
yeah, can I say something with that? I think
Yeah.
I think spiritual connection, I think is something that I or everyone reaches out to when you want an outcome or you want something to happen. So I was telling mum every time we would go to the temple in year 12, I'm not going to pray for success. I'm not going to ask the gods for a specific number or a specific outcome. my askings are very basic and very general, like good health for my family and just a general happiness. And I think I had that internal belief that everything will come out because I put in the work. So I think the spiritual connection is, of course, it's really, really important. I think it's something that lots of people rely on during hard times and hard circumstances. But when it comes down to success and numbers, I think the spiritual connection will not get you that. What the spiritual connection gets you is faith and belief that something will happen in the end. I mean, I don't want to be like preaching something religious, but I'm just saying generally the numbers are not linked to anything that we view as an external power. It's just it's all in your head and use spirituality for staying calm, staying composed, and faith. Does that answer your question, Uncle?
100% correct. Yeah, exactly.
So,
Very happy with
So,
mom,
Sid,
dad. Yeah.
the point, as Surya mentioned, you're talking to a successful, enlightened professor. So it's
Yeah.
more a question or a query to you as to how you are looking at things, right?
Oh,
So
I
good.
see. No, no, yeah, of
If
course.
you answered it right and he liked it, I think that you should still you can take one more chip on your collar.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm not trying to, yeah, of
Yeah.
course. I was just, yeah,
so
So
Very
good.
well done.
basically,
Yeah.
basically we
Congratulations. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
problem.
so basically we're praying to God that we can remain consistent, hardworking, so and that will take the results automatically, as you said.
Yeah, from my experience, I mean, that's all that I can offer. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all.
So I remember my two questions said that every successful person, if they reflect back in time and they can see if some few things they can do it differently. Did you had some thoughts, afterthoughts that you could have done differently? That's one question. And second is, was there any when you do your planning and all, did you do any tuitions or anything as well? And does it become very hard to do the time management when you're going, commuting around to your tuitions and class timings versus your personal best time of the day where you can focus and all? And one thing I learned from another webinar in my other personal space is that when you practice, when you study, you should study at the time of your exam time so that you can be more same productive at the time of the exam rather than I'm a
Yep.
night person. I practice in night, but exams don't happen in the night.
Yep. Yep. So for the afterthoughts or some regrets that I might have had, I think I worked really hard to make sure that I didn't have any regrets. But of course, I wasn't, it wasn't 100%. It wasn't like I was always 100% successful at every single point of the year. The biggest afterthought is that it's okay to have doubt. I think that's my biggest afterthought. I never thought that I would get this sort of score or number initially. It was just that it happened because I didn't give up. So that would be, it's not really a regret, but it is an afterthought that, oh no, I had doubt. Imagine that I gave up, what would happen, right? I think that's the biggest takeaway is
Yeah,
that don't give up, of course.
good point.
And your second question was about
Tuitions,
tutoring. Yeah,
tutoring, yeah.
tuitions. Yep, I did tuitions, of course. I think it's important, and of course, as good as these teachers are in year 12, they are catering to the needs of hundreds of students every year. So they might not always have the time to provide that one-on-one. So I had tutors for maths, chemistry, and a little bit for English towards the end of the year. And yeah, I found it the commute and all of that actually falls into place really well, Uncle, because what you're doing in tuition is you're basically just accelerating your learning process. So, whatever you're going to be doing at home, which may be relearning the content because you didn't understand something in class, you're doing that in tuition, but you're also doing added questions and everything as well. So, I wouldn't see it as something that's external to studying. Yes, of course, you're not doing practice exams. You might not be doing that every time in tuition, but the tuition process is an accelerated version of learning. So when you're there and when you're in the zone, you are still contributing to that final ATAR. It does not take away in any way. So it is important as well, I think.
And the time of the study, as I asked, that you didn't
Oh,
get.
yes. The time of the study is actually not something that I think I said that actually to mum a while back that, oh, I should wake up and do my practice exams in the same time as my thing. I did it maybe once or twice, but sometimes it just didn't fall into place for me and I had to do other things. All I did was I made sure that I slept at the right time every night. I think that's something that I actually missed earlier was that sleep is really important. Some students really like to work until 3 or 4 a.m. and they come to school looking like zombies. So that's not the best outcome. I think it's really important to get that good sleep and wake up at the right time as well. So I didn't do exams at the exact same timing as that, but I made sure my sleep schedule was on point and I had most of the day to and make the most of the hours that I had.
Yep, thank you so much. I think Krishna Shakti ji want to ask final question. I'm conscious of time. We're 13 minutes over, but over to you, Krishna Shakti ji. Is joining all the way from India, good friend of mine. You're on mute, Krishna Shakti ji. And he is a very unique talent. He's got very good things to share. Yep, Krishna ji.
Yeah, thank you, Surya Bhaiya. Congratulations, Sid, and everybody of you, especially the parents. They are feeling so proud that they are raising a wonderful gentleman to the society. My question to you, Sid, is the world is suffering from a lot of problems, and you showed that reaching to the top score required a lot of attention when you are sacrificing your soccer and your game, and you are giving something 100%. Then when we give 100%, we can receive something like this as well. Being one of the toppers of the country, we are as an immigrant as well. My question to you is, when world is suffering from problems like recently we have seen our attack in Australia, and the world is suffering from a lot of many problems like terrorism and global warming and all these things, we are looking for some global leaders who can really solve the problems to that extent. My question is, what is stopping you to think to that level, that you being one of those people who can really take this globe, this world out of this crisis which is happening? Because I was just reading a Bhavani Astakam 2 days back, which was written by Shankaracharya when he was only 20 years old. He said that when India is suffering from that problem as a subcontinent, and he wrote it and he brought it to a lot of problems he solved as a young gentleman only when he was 20 years old. So my question to you is, in short, what is stopping you to think to that global level or to level of that humanity where you think that my profession, my country, my work, that's fine, but putting that thought process where you can serve this humanity and take this whole humanity out of the problems which it is suffering through?
Yeah, I think that's actually a really like crazy question that I might take a second to think about. I think when you talk about like global problems and the overall perspective of everything, I think I'm also not perfect in that sense. Like I, in a weird way, had tunnel vision towards myself this year. So I was focused on my own year 12, and in a weird way, you can attribute that to maybe my own selfishness, that I want some personal success for some efforts that I put in. So to answer your question as to why I think or I didn't think about global perspectives or global things, I think I can think about the bigger picture when I'm happy internally. So this year was mostly about me finding that intrinsic happiness. And then now, listen, I don't know if I'm gonna save the world, but I'm ready to think about something that might be a little bit bigger, whatever that may be. So I think giving to others like this webinar is only possible when you're happy yourself. And I think I felt really fulfilled as a result of this year, and I'm able to give back. But, there are so many problems in this world, and I think in my own way, I will eventually try and contribute to helping in any way that I can. So thank you so much. I mean, that was a great question.
Actually, if I can add, I know it's over time, but a minute is worth
Yes, please.
because I want to connect Sid and Krishna's question back. The beginning of this year, I remember only once when Sid was in our drawing room having a conversation was about English essay or a project work which he did, which matters as a first contribution to his overall ATAR score, right? And you know what he did? He was very clear, in spite of his teachers' repeated clarification to change the topic. He did Jallianwala Bagh. Yeah. And when he did that, the teachers couldn't understand. They rated his score less, saying his topic was not to the point. because they couldn't relate, because as a teacher, they don't know about that episode. So I was so proud when Sid didn't want to change, and he went and made 40 students in the class as well as teachers go read what this means and then also explain to them, is something which I could see that connect. But it's a very good point, Krishnaji, what you asked, and said his question is not about why you didn't think in the year 12. How you should take is, with all these wisdom and what experiences we go through in the journey, how are we going to channel it for a larger cause? So that's something, food for thought, we should always take, not just for Sid. I guess that's something we all should take it.
Yeah, I
That
think
how are we going to give it back?
yeah, I think writing about the Amritsar massacres was really, really good. It was really eye-opening for me. So I think in the future, of course, I want to be contributing to charities and all of that. But I think your question is something that's like almost and questioning identity, which is something that's not always set in stone. So I feel like me as a person, I can change over the course of the next 10 years and hopefully influence something to a greater degree than I am right now. So I think with small baby steps, hopefully I can make some sort of an impact. I'm not saying it's going to be amazing, but a little impact is probably better than no impact. So anyway, thank you so much for your question as well.
I can just add one thought there, Krishnaji.
I had one question, if you don't mind.
Srilekaji, 1 second. Can I just finish my point?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you'll be next. So just adding a thought to Krishnaji's question, and everybody will possibly agree to me, the problems in the world today, because many people did not spend foundational wisdom and education and what is the right thing to do. And that is what Sid is doing right now. He's building his foundation roots very strong right now, so that he'll solve the future problem. He'll fix those problems in the future. Right now we see problem because half-baked thought processes, less wisdom people are leading world powers. And we can see, I'm not talking about the name, but we see lots of problems being created as of today because of those poor judgmental people in the world. Hence we need to support and which is the common case in our Indian diaspora, that we focus heavily on the thought leadership on the education side. And so very proud of you, Siddharth, but you need to, that's a guiding rail, guardrail or guiding light for you to think towards, that
Yeah.
you have every individual has got strong responsibility, and that is what we are doing in this VICHAR webinar. We want to build that collective wisdom, collective thought leadership, to at least solve our individual problems, then solve our family and the society problems. That's how we can solve world problems. If we don't prove it to yourself, as you said, you wanted to prove it to yourself, you wanted to achieve 99 plus ATAR. When you prove to it yourself that you can be successful in one thing, if you put your heart and soul to it, you will solve all the world problems in future. That's the momentum and motivation everyone we all learned from you today. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you so
thought
much.
out there already. Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Srilekaji, over to you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Suryaji. It was a fantastic suggestion and realistic, showing the realistic attitude to Siddharth and this entire webinar as well. I actually joined in between, but I was hoping to join earlier, but because I'm in Perth and the timing is so, it kind of slipped my mind. I have a high schooler in my house. She's grade 9. She's actually doing some Christmas cooking, so I didn't call her. But what I wanted to understand from you, given you've had such amazing academic year this year that make us all proud, and whatever answers you've given, I find it very matured for your age. What is that one thing that you would recommend for grade 9, or a habit that you would recommend for children to sharpen their motivation or sharpen their skills, and be more determined towards getting like the high score? What was your determination like?
Yep, I think first of all, when I was in year 9 or year 10, please don't even ask me what I was doing. I was playing sport. I had no academic inclination. I was a completely different person to who I am now. So I think if I was to go back in year 9, a habit that I would develop is actually not so much related to academics. Of course, I tell my little sister, she's in year 7, going into year 8 right now as well. I tell her that try and do 1 hour of focused study away from phones and everything, just 1 hour after you come from school. Just 1 hour of focused study on a topic or a subject that you're not quite confident in yet. And I think that will go a long way and compound really well. By the time you get into year 11 and year 12, the kid can transition into putting in more hours and putting in more consistent, like having that workload would be really easy for the high schooler as well. But I think the most important thing for a year 9 and year 10 is to have that confidence in themselves. And I actually don't know how I developed that confidence, but I know that I tell my little sister that it's so important to just be confident, whether it's about the way you look or the way that you carry yourself. It's just, I think, as a year 9 or year 10, I wouldn't say forget about the academics. I mean, of course, really focus in on the academics when you can, but also really build that confidence up as an individual that you can take and really channel towards year 12 when the time comes. So I think to summarize and answer your question, it would be from an academic lens, it would be 1 hour of dedicated study. As soon as you come home from school, you take a shower from 5 to 6 p.m. every day. It's such a small amount of time that the kid can still go play on their iPad or go outside and play with friends. But just that little bit of discipline can build over time. And the second part is to find something that helps build confidence, whether that comes from the parent or sport or anything. Confidence and that 1 hour a day would really, I think, tie it all up really well going into a year like year 12. Is that a good answer for you? I mean,
Very, very well said. Because
yeah,
we parents are so stressed out for their grade 12, and then we start putting them in all sorts of tuitions we can. We start giving them a lot of academic lecture every day at home. I think that is something that we as parents do, because we kind of stress out more. But the fact that you've said that to build their confidence in anything that they lack, as in study wise, if they continuously disciplinedly study for 1 hour, putting
yeah.
their heart and soul and mind into it, that should be good
Yeah,
enough.
because I know people who cannot do that 1 hour of focused study in year 12. And it really builds up over a period of time. Like sitting down for 1 hour and doing something in a dedicated way is harder than it looks. I think with phones and social media and the messages and everything that I'm getting all the time, it's really hard to put everything away and do one thing for 1 hour. It's so much harder than it sounds. So that's what I would say. I mean,
Very well said. Very well said.
thank you so much.
Thank you,
I will
Shilika ji.
that to my daughter. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Thank you. And I think time to wrap up. But Sid, thank you so much. You had a very great audience today. And for example, Shilika ji, she's big businesswoman. Dr. Pushpa Roy, big doctor in the town, and and everybody's listening to you towards during the holiday time, and you've achieved a great success. You got some directions in life as well, what to do next. Your next North Pole, we've been set in this call, and you achieve great success is what we wish, and you would become one. It'll solve world problems, as Krishna ji said. So we wish you all the best, and thank you so much for taking out time. Congratulations to parents once again. And thank you to all the audience of this webinar, your support and guidance and motivation. It's not my initiative, it's not FIU, it's a collective initiative. We need to build that wisdom. We need to grow together, share the knowledge. Please keep recommending next speaker. Shubhaji, I'm leaning on you. Sudarshan Bhai already said you will be one of our next speaker as well.
After Sid, I'm not going to do anything. I mean, I have to take notes from him.
Well,
No, no,
yeah.
no,
So
all good.
just to close it on a lighter note, Srileka, I just copy pasted the Insta post which Sid was popular during his year 10 soccer. If you can find him with a buzz cut there, you can relate that anyone can score if they decide to.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's I think it is more the parents' expectations. When your child starts to do well, you start to have bigger expectations and bigger aspirations out of your child, which I think is just not fair. As much as we realize that it's not fair, I don't know why as parents we end up building that expectation out of our children. So
Agree.
it I think we have to improve our mindset as parents too.
Hence
Yes.
this webinar, and hence all the parents are attending rather than students.
Yeah.
I think if the parents could just tell their kids that it's all going to be okay and just to build it up consistently, I think that would, just for me, that would be a really good takeaway for them. So tell them that they're all going to be okay and do really well in the upcoming years.
Yep. I think with that note, we are very over time. Thank you so much for everybody staying 28 minutes over the time. With that note, Happy New Year to everyone. Enjoy, have a safe holidays, and we'll meet again roughly around 14th of January as the next webinar. And until then, enjoy your time, have good family time, and we'll meet again, everybody. With that,
Appreciate what you're doing, Surya. Not easy. Appreciate your greatness in continuing this.
thank you.
Thank you.
And extremely thankful for presenting us such amazing speakers and having that thoughtful, soulful knowledge. It has been amazing journey. Thank you very much, Suryaji.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Good night. Namaste. Bye.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.